Hey everyone, it's Kristen, and this is part 7 of my 64 hexagrams challenge that I am still finishing. But this one I'm going to go through pretty quickly. We are working on hexagrams 49 through 56, and I'm just going to do these two at a time because I do like to look at the odd even pairings. So we have hexagram 49, which I call revolution, and hexagram 50, the cauldron. Some of the names or titles I've kept, and then a few of them I've changed just because I think, and you'll see different variations with these, but I've changed some of them because I guess have a fuller understanding of the energy, and so that caused me to change them. But anyway, the images, just to kind of go through them with you, like in terms of the images, this is a butterfly leaving its cocoon in hexagram 49 for revolution. And think about revolution as a complete renewal, like going from one state to a completely different state. And revolution does show up for actual revolutions when you are overturning governments, and toppling all of your old ideas. And so it really does show a complete shift. It's a really major upheaval or revolution. Its pair is hexagram 50, which is the cauldron. And the cauldron typically represents a sacred transformation. It is really a card about, a hexagram about alchemy. And the cauldron, I put some stew in there, but really think about this like a magical cauldron. You're taking all these different ingredients and you are alchemizing it into something new. So the pair suggests a shedding process or a revolution process that turns into a renewal or a reforging, and also nourishment. I think of the cauldron as being another kind of pair to hexagram 27, which is nourishment. It says there in that hexagram you're being fed, and this is to me what you're being fed. You're being fed all of the I think of whatever's in this stew as in terms of you, it's your skills, your talents, like it's all of your life experiences that are, combined together. And what kind of new version of yourself are you creating? I do find that this hexagram appears for spiritual matters, or if it comes up to represent a person, this person to me is like a spiritual guru or somebody who has a really strong spiritual presence. It's kind of like saying this person knows how to do spiritual alchemy. The next two we're going to look at are hexagram 51 and 52. And these are two hexagrams that are based on the double trigrams. So we have double thunder here and we have double mountain here. And they are very different. We can see like a very strong contrast. 51 is called shock. 52 is keeping still. So 51 is like double thunder, which means a lot of things getting shaken up, a lot of surprise, things, basically sudden changes, sudden things happening, the unexpected, things that might be shocking, but also things that are shaking things up for good. So thinking about a thunderstorm, it might seem scary at first, but then you have, all that rain and it's made all of your crops and fields grow. So hexagram 51 is going to show up when things are, this moment that you're dealing with deals with the unexpected, deals with sudden change, but think about how those changes can be a catalyst for your growth. Hexagram 52 is its pair, and it's keeping still, it's mountain over mountain. And it really is about, if we think about a mountain, or two mountains in this case, mountains, we think of mountains don't move, they're, kind of stuck in place. They are large, they're immobile. So we can think about this in both. I think all of the hexagrams have a positive and negative. So we can look at keeping still as a time when things aren't moving, or also as a time for you to keep still, be kind of quiet, go inward, do some meditation. But it can also show up as a time when things are just not moving. At least in my readings, I have done. Oftentimes, when this comes up, it means something that you think should be moving forward doesn't actually move at all. Like it's kind of like you've reached an impasse. The next two, hexagram 53 and hexagram 54, we have gradual progress and then marrying maiden. And I think these two are interesting because these are typically depicting a relationship, like a romantic relationship, a partnership of some sort. And in essence, they're showing you maturity versus immaturity. That's just really in a nutshell. There's lots of layers to this. With gradual progress, it tells a story of a couple of wild geese and how they're like slowly making it to like a higher plane so that they can have their babies and raise their babies. And so gradual progress really tells the story of a mature relationship, or at least a relationship that is maturing. And it talks about a moment in time where you need to take things slowly. You need to focus on step by step progress and methodical change, not like a giant leap. Hexagram 54, marrying maiden, it's really telling the story about a younger sister who goes with her older sister who gets married. And so in that case, she would be the older sister's lady in waiting, also the consort, mistress to the older sister's husband. So there's a couple of layers here. And then in the lines, I think it talks about a returning sister, like the sister going back. So on one level, we have a sense of immaturity, like this is not a relationship that is, where both partners are growing slowly and steadily together. We have some immaturity in a relationship, meaning like kind of inexperienced, and a need to go back or return, which suggests that maybe now is not the right time for a relationship to grow. We also have a layer here with the marrying maiden being in a subordinate position where she really doesn't have any agency over her life at that moment. And sometimes there might be moments in your life where you don't feel like you have any agency, where you have to be in a subordinate position to someone or in some situation. And it's just talking about sometimes that's what's needed, and you need to learn how to find allies and find other people who can help you to move out of your station of life. Okay. And then the last two that we're covering in this part are 55, hexagram 55 and hexagram 56. Hexagram 55 is usually called abundance. I changed it to fullness because I think that's more appropriate. Abundance to me is just a lot of something, but hexagram 55 is really speaking to, from a natural standpoint, it would be midday when the sun is at its highest point, when the sun is at its peak or zenith. That is what this is referencing. So it can mean abundance. It could mean like you're at the peak moment. Like this is a great moment for you to take advantage of whatever your talents, your skills, of your relationships, with other people, collaborations. This is a time of fullness. This is basically a time of great harvest. But just know you're at the peak. Like this is as good as it gets. That's the way that I would read this. And then what comes after fullness is kind of like a transience. You're not at that peak state anymore. You're kind of in transition, and that's just how life works. So hexagram 56 is the traveler, and that is showing us somebody who is traveling. They're on the move. They may not be staying in the same place all the time, but this one is really about again, speaking from fullness. It's just saying, like, you might be in a position in life where you're not at the peak. You're not at the height of whatever that experience is. You're in some sort of transitionary period. The traveler can come up for actual travel, but it's also about being adaptable to your environment. And so you might be in an environment that's changing. Maybe you're not actually traveling anywhere, but your environment is changing, and you need to be in an adaptable state so that you can kind of receive whatever comes. So that is our part. Oops. Put these in order. We have 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, and 56. So that is our part 7. Stay tuned for the very last part.